Morning last year, the U.S. Department of Transportation called Southwest's mass cancellations a complete meltdown. I mean, this was due to several infrastructural issues from the airline, but it left thousands of people not just stranded, but it uprooted their holiday plans. And one of those issues that affected this was its staffing. Before the nation was hit with severe winter storms and a triple-demic of flu, RSV, and COVID-19, the airline did not have the staff that it needed. It was really understaffed. And another issue was Southwest's outdated operation, scheduling, and communication systems. While thousands were stranded, it was revealed Southwest had not updated its systems since the 90s, and both passengers and employees could not contact the airline when problems arose. So since then, Southwest says it has expanded its phone system to better handle large volumes of calls from both passengers and flight crews. The airline also tells me it made a lot of investments to improve its winter operation crews. In a statement, the airline says, "We've purchased more engine inlet plugs, de-icing trucks, and high-powered heaters, along with securing additional space for de-icing operations." To support those efforts, we've hired thousands of employees in 2023 and trained more staff than ever before to de-ice aircrafts. As of now, Southwest tells me they have hired over 74,000 employees, which will be ready to serve this holiday season. Southwest also says that it made a lot of updates to a bunch of different systems, like their network health dashboards and their flight crew system support software to get in contact with, scheduling and operational inquiries. They believe these updates that they've put in place is going to help them detect problems a whole lot sooner than last year. Back to you.
All right.